Hey everyone, we just started this channel to bring you stories you'll love listening to. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. It's just one click for you, but it helps us a lot to keep creating more. It's amazing how one sentence can just make everything crystal clear. For 6 years, I've been living in a sort of comfortable fog, thinking everything was moving forward. But last night, at a family barbecue, my boyfriend Liam cleared that fog for me with one stupid, classic, unoriginal joke. And his whole family laughed. And in that moment of ringing, hearty laughter at my expense, I didn't feel angry or humiliated. I just felt this weird sense of calm, like when you finally solve a puzzle you've been staring at for years. I smiled, took a sip of my drink, and let them have their fun. That was last night. This morning, while Liam was at work, I moved out. And about an hour ago, my phone started ringing. It was Liam, totally panicked, asking where all the furniture went. Then he called back, screaming, asking why his key wasn't working anymore. I guess he finally figured it out. The free milk came with the house, the car, the TV, and the Wi-Fi password. And the cow has officially left the building. Let me back up a bit, because this wasn't some impulsive thing. This was a long time coming. Liam and I got together 6 years ago. We were both starting out. I was working as a project manager for a small tech company, and he was just finishing up his apprenticeship to be an electrician. We were great together, or so I thought. We had fun, we had the same goals, we both wanted a house, a dog, the whole 9 yards. The problem was, Liam had a ton of debt from his school loans and a pretty terrible credit score from his younger, dumber days. I, on the other hand, had been saving like a maniac since I was 16. Plus, right around the time we were getting serious, my grandmother passed away and left me a decent amount of money. It wasn't millions, but it was enough for a solid down payment on a house. So, 2 years into our relationship, we decided to buy a place. When we went to the bank, the loan officer basically laughed at Liam's application. His debt-to-income ratio was a disaster, but my application? It was perfect. I had the down payment, a steady job, and great credit. The mortgage broker gave us some advice. He said the smart move here is for her to buy the house in her name only. He can live there and pay her rent, and in a few years, when his credit is fixed, you can refinance and add him to the mortgage. It made perfect sense. It was a logical, practical solution. So that's what we did. I bought the house. My name is on the mortgage. My name is on the deed. Liam would transfer me money every month, which we called his share, but it was always less than half of the actual mortgage and utilities. I was the one who paid all the bills because they were all in my name. I bought the furniture. I paid for the new water heater when it broke. I paid the property taxes. He just lived there. He saw it as our house, but on paper, where it counts, it was always my house. Over the years, I tried to talk to him about getting his name on the deed. I'd say, hey, have you checked your credit score lately? We should think about refinancing soon. And he'd always have an excuse. Oh, not yet, babe. I'm still paying off that big loan. Or, let's wait until I get a raise, then we'll have more leverage with the bank. It started to feel less like a practical delay, and more like he was just comfortable. He had all the benefits of homeownership with none of the risk or responsibility. Then came the marriage talk. Or the lack of it. All our friends were getting engaged, married, having kids, and we were just stalled. Whenever I'd bring it up, he'd get weird and defensive. He'd say things like, "We're fine the way we are, aren't we? It's just a piece of paper." But I knew it was more than that. I wanted the commitment. I wanted to be a real team, not just a convenient arrangement. Which brings us to last night. We were at his parents' house for his dad's 60th birthday barbecue. The whole family was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins. It was the usual scene. His uncle Jerry, who has had a little too much to drink, corners us by the grill. He claps Liam on the back and goes, "So when are you finally gonna make an honest woman out of this one? You're not getting any younger." It was awkward, but I just smiled. Liam, however, put on this big, smug grin. He puffed out his chest and looked around at his family, making sure he had an audience. Then he said the line. The stupid, cliched line that I'm sure he thought made him sound like some kind of cool alpha male player. Why would I buy the cow when I get the milk for free? The men all roared with laughter. His dad, his uncles, even his 19-year-old cousin. They were slapping him on the back, telling him he was a smart man. His mom and his aunts just kind of tittered behind their hands, looking at me with these pitiful little smiles. They all thought it was hilarious. They were all laughing at me. The woman who owned the house they all came to for Christmas. The woman who hosted their Super Bowl party on the 70-inch TV that she bought. In that moment, I didn't see the man I loved. I saw a freeloader who was bragging about his great deal. And I saw his family, who all knew about our financial arrangement, laughing at the cow who was funding their son's comfortable lifestyle. I didn't say a word. I just smiled, raised my glass, and said, "Good one, Liam." I stayed for another hour, made polite small talk, and helped his mom clean up the kitchen. On the drive home, he was still chuckling about it. "Did you see Uncle Jerry's face? Classic." I just kept driving. As soon as we got home, I went into my home office and closed the door. I had a folder in my filing cabinet labeled Household Contingency Plan. I'd been putting it together for the last 6 months, ever since I started to suspect that he was never going to commit. It had the number for a moving company, the lease for a new apartment I had put a deposit on, and a checklist of everything I needed to do. His joke wasn't a wake-up call. It was just the starting gun. So this morning, as soon as he left for work, my plan went into action. The movers showed up at 9 a.m. They packed up my furniture, my clothes, my kitchen supplies, my TV, my computer, everything. I had already forwarded my mail. I had already transferred the utilities for the new place into my name and set a cancellation date for the old ones. I called a locksmith and had him meet me at the house at 1 p.m. He changed every single lock. The last thing I did before I left was take a picture of the empty living room. Then I texted it to Liam with a simple message: "The cow is moved out. You should probably find a new place to get your free milk. P.S. The locks have been changed. Don't bother coming home." And now my phone is ringing off the hook. I think reality is finally starting to sink in for him. He doesn't have a house. He doesn't have a couch to sit on. And the cow he thought he owned? She owns everything. First update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments and messages. It's been wild. I'm currently sitting on an inflatable mattress in the middle of my new apartment, eating takeout from a box, and it's honestly the most peaceful I've felt in years. The place is still mostly boxes, but it's my place. The silence is amazing. There's no TV blaring with some sports game I don't care about, no trail of dirty socks leading to the laundry room, no feeling of waiting for someone else's life to start before mine can. It's just quiet. So, my phone. After Liam's initial panicked calls about his key not working, it just went completely haywire. He started texting me these long, rambling paragraphs. I'll give you the highlight reel. It started with confusion. "Okay, this isn't funny anymore. Where's all our stuff? Did we get robbed?" Then it moved to anger when he got my text. "Our stuff? This is my stuff. You can't just take everything. Half of that is mine. I paid for it." Spoiler alert, he did not. Then came the threats. "I'm calling the cops. You can't just lock me out of my own house. This is illegal." And finally, late last night, came the pathetic panic. "Claire, please just call me. Where am I supposed to sleep? All my clothes are in there. My work stuff. Please. I'm sorry about the joke, it was stupid." I didn't reply to any of it, I just blocked his number. Then, right on cue, his mom started calling. Let's call her Brenda. Brenda left a voicemail that started out all sweet and concerned. "Clara, dear, it's Brenda. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Liam is very upset. I'm sure we can sort this all out if you just come back and talk to him." When I didn't call back, she left another one an hour later, and the sweetness was gone. "Clara, this has gone far enough. You have to let Liam into the house to get his belongings. You are legally required to do so. My husband says this is tantamount to theft." It's funny how they're all suddenly experts on the law. The thing is, they have no idea how prepared I was. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. His buy the cow joke was just the final push I needed to pull a trigger I'd already loaded and aimed. About 6 months ago, when he gave me another lame excuse about not being ready to get married, I had a little chat with a lawyer. A consultation. I laid out the whole situation. I bought the house with my own money, the mortgage and deed are solely in my name, and he pays me a fixed amount every month that is well below market rent and doesn't even cover half the expenses. The lawyer was very clear. She said that in the eyes of the law, he was basically a long-term guest with no ownership stake at all. He had no lease, no equity, nothing. She told me that to be safe and avoid any drama, if I ever wanted him out, I should give him a formal written notice to vacate, just as I would a tenant. So that's what I did. After I blocked his number last night, I sent him an email from a new email address I created just for this purpose. The subject line was, "Notice to vacate property at 123 Maple Street." The email was short and professional. "Liam, this email serves as your official notice that your status as a guest at my property located at 123 Maple Street is terminated, effective immediately. You are required to arrange for the removal of all your personal belongings from the premises within the next 30 days. Please coordinate a time and date for this removal exclusively through this email address so that I can arrange to be present. Any attempt to access the property otherwise will be considered trespassing. A final bill for your share of the last month's utilities will be sent to your parents' address. Regards, Clara. I took pictures of every room in the house after the movers left, documenting the condition of everything, just like the lawyer told me to. The movers I hired were amazing. I'd actually booked them a month ago, telling them it was for a flexible date. They had my entire life packed and moved into my new apartment in under 5 hours. They even put together my bed frame for me. The best part is, Liam thinks he paid for half the furniture. He didn't. What he did was, for example, give me $200 toward a $2,000 couch that I bought. I have the receipts for everything. Every lamp, every rug, every single fork. The only things left in that house are the clothes in his closet, his toothbrush, and a very sad-looking collection of video games. The chaos has continued today. It seems his dad, Michael, has decided to step in. He left me a voicemail this morning. He wasn't yelling, he was using his deep, important, I'm a business owner voice. He said that I was being childish and emotional, and that he and Brenda and Liam wanted to have a face-to-face meeting to resolve this like adults. He said if I refused, they would be exploring all of their legal options. I almost laughed. Their legal options? To sue me for kicking a guest out of my own house? Good luck with that. But you know what? A meeting sounds like a great idea. I want to see the looks on their faces when they realize just how badly they underestimated the cow. I emailed him back. Michael, a meeting is acceptable. Tomorrow, 4 p.m., at the coffee shop on the corner of Oak and Main. I will be bringing my own paperwork. I suggest you do the same. The ball is in their court. Let's see what kind of game they think they're playing. Second update. So the big meeting happened yesterday. I got to the coffee shop about 20 minutes early and snagged a table in the corner. I ordered an iced tea, took out my secret weapon, and waited. My weapon wasn't a lawyer or anything fancy. It was a simple 1-inch white binder. But this binder was my holy grail. I had spent the last 6 months organizing it, and it had everything. I'm a project manager, you guys. Organization is what I do for a living. I felt zero nerves. This wasn't an emotional showdown for me anymore. It was a project review, and I was about to present my findings. They walked in exactly at 4 p.m., the three of them. Liam, Brenda, and Michael. They looked like a little storm cloud of misery. Liam's eyes were puffy and red, and he wouldn't look at me. Brenda looked like she was about to cry, and Michael had his jaw set in this angry, self-important way. They sat down, and before I could even say hello, Michael started in. Clara, he said, leaning forward like he was a CEO in a boardroom. We are here to figure out a path forward. What you've done is frankly shocking. You can't just throw a person out of their home after 6 years. There are legal ramifications. Brenda jumped in, her voice trembling. We thought you were family, dear. How could you be so cruel to him? He has nowhere to go. He's sleeping on our couch. Liam, who had been staring at the table, finally looked up at me. You stole my things, he muttered. All our furniture. I let them finish. I took a slow sip of my iced tea. Then I placed my hand on the white binder. Okay, I said, my voice totally cheerful. I'm glad you're all here, and you've brought up these points. I actually have some information that might clear things up. I opened the binder. It was beautifully organized, with little colored tabs and everything. I brought my paperwork. Just like I said I would. Let's go through it together, shall we? I turned to the first tab, which was labeled Ownership. I pulled out a copy of the deed to the house and the original mortgage agreement. I slid them across the table. As you can see, my name, and my name only, is on every single one of these ownership documents. I am the sole legal owner of the property at 123 Maple Street. Michael glanced at them and pushed them away. That's just a technicality, a financing arrangement. Ah, I said, cutting him off. Let's move on to tab 2 then. Let's call this one the down payment. I pulled out a bank statement from 4 years ago, showing the wire transfer from my inheritance account directly to the escrow company for the full down payment. That was my money. Not our money. Mine. Liam started to say something, but I was already on a roll. Which brings me to my favorite tab. Tab 3, the monthly contribution. I pulled out the spreadsheet I had made. It was a thing of beauty. It had columns for every single month for the past 4 years. So Liam, I said, looking right at him, you claimed you paid for half of everything. But let's look at the numbers. This first column is the amount you transferred to my bank account every month. Very consistent. This second column is the actual total of the mortgage payment, the property taxes, the home insurance, and all the utilities. gas, electric, water, internet, for that same month. And this third column, I said, tapping it with my finger, this third column shows the difference. It shows how much more I paid than you did every single month. I let them look at it. I watched their eyes track the numbers. I saw Michael's face get tighter and tighter. On average, I continued, your share covered about 35% of the basic cost of running the house. That's before we even factor in maintenance, like the new water heater I paid for last year, or any of the furniture. So you see, you weren't my partner building equity in a home. You were my tenant. And to be honest, you were getting a fantastic deal on rent. Brenda looked like she was going to faint. Liam just stared at the spreadsheet, his face turning a blotchy red. And finally, I said, flipping to the last tab, labeled Legal, this is a summary of the legal advice I received from an attorney 6 months ago. It confirms that a long-term guest with no lease agreement can be asked to vacate the premises with a 30-day written notice, which, as you know, I have already provided via email. I closed the binder with a satisfying snap. I leaned back in my chair. So, are there any other questions about the house? The table was silent for a long time. Liam was just shaking his head, mumbling, I can't believe this. Then I decided it was time. I looked right at Liam, and my voice was sweet as sugar. You know, Liam, this all comes back to that joke you made, the one you were so proud of, about not buying the cow when you get the milk for free. He flinched. His parents looked confused. You thought you were so clever, I said, but the thing you completely failed to understand is that the cow owned the whole farm. The barn you were sleeping in, the pasture you were relaxing in, all of it. And you weren't getting the milk for free. I was just giving you a family discount, because I thought you were my partner. I thought we were building a life together. But at that barbecue, you and your whole family made it very, very clear that I was just some convenient appliance. A cow. So the discount has been discontinued. The farm is closed for business. And you are no longer welcome on the property. That's when Liam finally exploded. This is insane. You planned this. You were plotting against me. No, Liam, I said, standing up and gathering my things. I wasn't plotting. I was preparing. It's called being a responsible adult. It's the kind of thing people do when they actually own things instead of just freeloading off their girlfriend. You have 29 days to get your stuff. Coordinate through the email I provided. I looked at Brenda and Michael. Thank you for this meeting. It's been very productive. I turned and walked out of the coffee shop without looking back. I could hear them starting to argue with each other before I even got to the door. I got in my car, and I didn't feel angry or sad. I just felt light. The project was reviewed, the findings were presented, and the case was officially closed. Final update. Hey everyone. It's been about 8 months since my last update, and I'm happy to report that the drama is officially over. The dust has settled, and I'm in a much, much better place. I wanted to give you all one last update to close this out. The month after our meeting at the coffee shop was a little tense. Liam did, in fact, coordinate via email to come and get his stuff. I wasn't about to be there alone, so I had my best friend Sarah come over with me. We put on some good music, ordered pizza, and waited. Liam showed up with his dad, Michael. They didn't bring a moving truck, they just brought Michael's pickup truck, which I thought was funny. They were both super quiet and sullen. Liam just went from room to room, grabbing his clothes and his video games and throwing them in boxes. The only dramatic moment was when he tried to pick up the expensive espresso machine from the kitchen counter. I just cleared my throat and said, "Oh, that's staying here." He turned around and snapped, "What? I use this every day. I bought it." I had my phone ready. I pulled up the Amazon receipt from 2 years ago, paid for with my credit card. "Really? Because this receipt says I bought it. You can take the cheap drip coffee maker that's in the pantry. I think you contributed $20 for that one." Michael just shot him a look that said, "Don't start," and Liam slammed the espresso machine back on the counter and stomped out. It was a small, petty moment, but it felt so good to just stand there, armed with facts, while he had nothing. They loaded up the truck with his few boxes and left without another word. A week later, I did get a scary-looking letter in the mail. It was from a law firm, written on behalf of Michael Hartman, claiming that Liam had a claim to a portion of the property's value due to his significant financial contributions and emotional investment. I almost panicked, but then I remembered I had my own lawyer. I forwarded the letter to her. She called me back an hour later, literally laughing. She called it a saber-rattling letter and said it had no legal merit. She sent back a response that was so sharp and legally devastating that I never heard from them again. Best money I ever spent. After the 30-day notice period was officially up, I called a realtor. We put the house on the market, and it sold in less than a week for way more than I was expecting. The housing market in my area is crazy right now. After paying off the rest of the mortgage and all the fees, I walked away with a very, very nice profit. Seeing that number hit my bank account was a feeling I can't even describe. It was the physical proof of my freedom. It was the value of the farm the cow had built all by herself. So what have I been doing since? Well, for the first month, I did absolutely nothing. I slept in, I read books, I went on long walks, I just enjoyed the peace and quiet. Then, I booked a trip. I spent 3 weeks traveling through Italy, something I've wanted to do my whole life, but could never afford because all my money was tied up in our future. I ate so much pasta and gelato, I'm pretty sure my blood type is now marinara. I got back 2 months ago, and I've just been enjoying my life. I haven't even bought a new house yet. I'm just renting a nice apartment and investing the money from the sale, letting it grow. For the first time, my future feels like a wide open road instead of a narrow track leading to someone else's destination. As for Liam, I don't hear much, but I get little bits of information from mutual friends. He's still living in his parents' basement. He's apparently super bitter, telling everyone that I'm a crazy, manipulative person who stole everything from him. A few people believe him, but most of them know the real story. The family that laughed along with his joke about the free milk? Well, now they get to enjoy the 30-year-old freeloader living under their roof, complaining that the milk in their fridge isn't fancy enough for him. It seems like a fitting end for them all. The other day I was thinking about his stupid joke. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? It's such a gross, outdated saying, but in a way, he was right to ask the question. He just had it all backward. The real question isn't about buying the cow. The real question is, why would the cow give away her milk for free when she owns the entire farm and could be making delicious, expensive cheese instead? I'm done giving away free milk. From now on, I'm focusing on my own pasture. And let me tell you, the view from here is pretty great.